Are you a student of history? Have you at least heard of Kublai Khan, the Mongol Empire, and how they conquered China? Today, I'm reviewing a book that pretty much has all that, with magic. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, and I sure hope you're going to enjoy this book review that I'm bringing to you today. If you do, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Thanks. So the book I just recently read is called Servant of Rage. It's book one of the Blood Rage trilogy by Alex Knight, and it's the only book out so far in this trilogy. It came out just in March, here of 2025. The genre would be dark fantasy, verging on grimdark, but not quite there. Just dark fantasy. More on that later in the episode. Alex Knight, again the author, offered me an arc of this book, requesting that I read and review. So I added it to the list, the very lengthy list. I tell authors I will do a review on their book if I like it, or at least appreciate it. But if it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to bash their book. This is a positive channel. We like to talk about things we like. And, just because I don't like something doesn't mean someone else might not like it. They might love it. So I'm not going to steal that opportunity from them. But I did not have to wrangle with this deep moral issue at all, because this book sucked me in from the first few pages. I had no difficulty quickly finishing it, and now I'm eagerly waiting for book 2. The setting, the author's pretty much taken all of the geographic elements, societal structure, and cultural aspects of Kublai Khan's Mongol Empire and placed his characters into the setting. Then he added magic. But the magic is a huge new element, so this is not just a re-envisioned history, something that you really kind of almost know with new fantasy names. But it is definitely leaning into all the authentic feel of the Mongol horde's invasion of China. It just really gives it true, genuine authenticity that makes the reading that much more fun. Spoiler-Lite Summary for you. I do have some full spoil comments at the end, but you're safe here if you haven't read the book yet. The Gangarai are the Mongols of this fantasy world, horse warriors who live on and travel the steppes, feuding amongst their various tribes and sometimes engaging in hostility with their more civilized neighbors. They live by the principle that everything they are powerful enough to take is theirs. They live in the shadow of some pretty epic history, when the Gangarai tribes were united as one people under the Great Khan. And they conquered and dominated all the lands of their region, forming one huge khanate. However, it is known that the Great Khan was able to accomplish this with some great magic that he had, and that he alone had. No one else had any magic, so his access to this powerful magic gave them an edge with which they dominated the world. However, the khanate did not last long beyond the Great Khan, and the magic disappeared. Early in this story, the 3 sons of one of the more powerful tribes, whose Khan is of direct, strong lineage to the former Great Khan, well, these 3 sons, they accidentally release and absorb the long-lost magic of the Great Khan. This is witnessed by many because the tribes are all gathered for an annual big tournament that they're about to have. And some guys get into a to-the-death fight, and it's during that the magic is released. So everybody sees these 3 sons suddenly have magical powers and come bowing to them. The Great Khan has returned, yada, yada, yada. These guys respond to power. These brothers they're powerful now. They have the magic. Of course, they're like, hey, stop bowing, stop bowing. We bow to our father, the Khan. So bow to him, which they do. And he becomes the Kagin, the Khan of Khans, of a once again, very quickly united people, which is bad news for the rest of the world. Now, when the three sons absorbed this magic, one of the people they were fighting with also absorbed some of the magic. And they tracked this person down. This person's in bad shape from the event that happened where the magic was given and basically wants to die. So forces them to kill him. When they kill him, the magic he's holding on to rises up and divides and goes in equal parts to the three brothers, whereby they learn, hey, we can absorb more of the magic, which is a key part of the tale, because then they come to realize that there are more people who have some of this magic. Turns out, when the three sons released and absorbed the magic, it was released in other locations of the world as well. Locations that used to be part of the Khanate, but have long since gone their own ways. So these other people who've absorbed the magic, they have no right to it. At least that's how these people of the Gangarai feel. They are considered false heirs, and the sons are tasked by their father to hunt them down and kill them, thereby reacquiring the stolen magic, their destiny, their birthright. Unfortunately, the brothers learn the magic is not just some simple ability that they can learn to use. It comes with some strong, unfortunate side effects, risks that increase as the brothers acquire more of the magic. And this will lead them down a very dangerous path in the story, one that could allow them to help their people safely and easily dominate the world, but could also lead them to perhaps destroy the world, or at least their own people. The question becomes, can they be strong enough to master the magic? Perhaps their relationship as brothers, as family, might it give them an edge? Read and find out. As for plot depth, the author has given us quite the complex story here, rich on many levels. We've got the politics, we've got the military engagements, we've got the magic that they are learning to use and then discovering more and more about as you work through the story. And then there's the secret society working in the shadows, but you'll have to read to learn more about that. We do learn that all is not as it seems in this story, especially related to the magic. There are definitely multiple very satisfying plot twists along the way, even to the final pages. This is a well-crafted tale with excellent depth. The primary characters we get to experience and enjoy are these three brothers, and their two mentors, teachers they've had since they were young boys, who travel with them when they go off on their quest. That quest being the search for the false heirs, the effort to reclaim the magic that is rightfully theirs. These brothers include Batar, the eldest, strong, manly man who takes his responsibility as the eldest brother very seriously. Subai, the middle brother, who's actually adopted into the family, but is truly considered a brother and heir. And then the youngest brother, Kashi, who is not only the youngest, but also perhaps the wisest. He's definitely the most thoughtful of the bunch. The entire story is told through the POVs of these three brothers, mostly jumping between Batar and Subai, but we get a little Kashi as well. These brothers, their characters feel very genuine, each bringing a different perspective to the circumstances they're experiencing. Now, their mentors, as I said, they've trained them since childhood. They are servants of the Khan, the boy, their father. Interestingly, though, they're both women. But women you would not want to mess with in any way, shape, or form. We've got Matama, who is the Khan's chief scholar, a monk who is helping them master themselves mentally and spiritually, so as to better master the magic. Then there's Gula, who is a military commander and master tactician for the Khan, and helps the brothers train in how they might use the magic strategically, both offensively and defensively. I found these characters nicely fleshed out, but there are plenty of secondary and tertiary characters that also play great roles in this story, and none of them feel like throwaway characters, including these false heirs that they're chasing. We're going to have interactions with them, and they're all very interesting. Alex Knight put time into developing all of them. As for writing style, this was an interesting and engaging read. The author really leans into the culture of these nomadic warriors. I'm pretty sure he did some solid research on the Mongol horde, and he draws on that to make this feel very realistic and genuine. The book has frequent fight scenes and battles, plenty of danger, and some pretty graphic injuries and kills. This is a dangerous and bloody world, and magic does not make it safer. While there are some gaps for traveling, learning, and magical exploration, the next fight scene is never too far off in this book, making the pace pretty hopping. Themes of this book, I came up with 4 pretty good ones. Power and corruption. The intoxicating nature of power and its capacity to corrupt those who wield it is definitely on display as you work your way through this novel. Brotherhood and loyalty would be another one. The bonds between siblings could be the greatest hope for these brothers in overcoming the challenges before them. But that bond is going to be tested by ambition and by external threats. Will it be enough to keep them loyal to each other? Then we've got identity and legacy, as we see the struggle for these brothers to forge their paths amidst the weight of ancestral expectations. Can they do what they believe is right, or do they need to stick with what they must? Can those be the same thing? Can they differ? Finally, moral ambiguity. The characters are often faced with choices that blur the lines between right and wrong. This is not a white and black story. There's a lot of gray, which reflects a grimdark tone in this narrative. Not enough for me, again, to say it's fully grimdark, but there's a leaning. And that takes me easily to the warnings on this book. A Servant of Rage contains content that may be distressing to some readers. Notable trigger warnings include graphic violence and gore, torture, sexual assault and harassment, slavery, child death, self-harm, war-related trauma, racism, classism, alcohol abuse, grief, and loss. Well, now, that does sound a bit more like grimdark fantasy. But seriously, it doesn't feel grimdark, just very dark. There is a difference, trust me. My rating of this book was 5-star, and that really goes to because of how well the book sucked me in right from the get-go, with relatable characters, a conflict that interested me, various plot twists all the way through, and a mystery that I wanted to know how we're going to resolve. I cared, and I'm always here for the story. This was a great story. So yeah, I'm all in. I'm happy to give it a strong rating. I want to read the next book. And I didn't run into any weaknesses or flaws in the book. There was nothing about the way Alex Knight wrote this, designed the plot, the characters, anything that really jumped out at me as annoying or flawed. Nothing. If you like dark fantasy reads, and particularly something of this period of history, with the Mongols, the hordes invading China and all, this will be a great read for you. And the magic was really cool. Really, really cool. A fascinating and deep element of the story. All right, that's all I have for you if you haven't read the book yet. I'm going to jump into full spoil commentary now for just a few more things. So you don't want to listen anymore if you haven't read it, but come back and hear what I have to say after you do. This book is worth your time. Thanks for watching.
The Spoiler Room.
Okay, so you're still here. Let's get into this. About the magic. I loved Batar and Subai's different perspectives and approaches to the magic. particularly the blood rage element. One has his head in the sand, the other, that complete avoid attitude. And neither approach is the winning formula. And magic that's sentient with an agenda? Fantastic plot device. Discovering Matma is part of an old society that exists to be on guard against the blood rage? Great addition to this story. More to come for sure. And I loved the twist at the end, learning that Kashi isn't dead after all. I was really happy to discover this, and that element instantly elevated and enhanced my interest in the next book of the series. All right, that's what I have for you. What do you think? Got any comments? Put them down in the comment box. If you've read this book, I'd love to hear what you think of my comments, and I'd love to know just what you thought of the book. And look down in the show notes for all the ways you can interact with Zach and I besides the comment box. Patreon, we have one of those. Thank you to our faithful patrons supporting us every month. We really appreciate that. I'll let you go then. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.